Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yep, it's letting us record again. Perfect. Okay, well, hopefully everybody will jump back on again.
I feel sorry for Karen. She was in the middle of.
I know, right? Oh, one thing I was I couldn't hear you guys perfectly because of these guys, but one thing I was thinking about was, Marjorie, when you were talking about us all being one and we're trying to live more by that philosophy of we are one, and then what Sandy was saying of, I can't remember exactly what she was saying about that, but it's what it boils down to is if we live in that faith of there's all this abundance, and then we kind of have this philosophy of we are all one, then we can more easily give, maybe because we're giving to ourselves, if you will. And, Sandy mentioned on a previous hangout, and it's been a few, I don't know, quite a few hangouts ago, where she had listened to a recording by Neil Donald Walsh, and he was talking about here, I'll give you the keys to the kingdom. If you want everything, if you want all these things you say that you want in your life, is that the first thing you have to do is you have to give all those things. So if you want more wealth, you have to give wealth away. If you want more happiness, you have to give happiness away. If you want more love, you have to give love away, because the only way that you get it is by giving it. We all thought all along that we have to get it before we can give it, but he's saying it's the other way around. You have to give it before you can get it. And who is it that somebody has a quote, maybe it's Zig Ziglar, and he says something to the effect of, the best way to get what you want is to give, what is it? What is that quote? Can't remember. It's like a famous quote about help. Oh yeah, the best way to get what you want is to help more people get what they want, or something to that effect. You guys heard that quote before? I think I was listening to an audio the other day that mentioned that. And of course he's talking about in general, life in general, but also the whole aspect of like in business. If you want to be successful in business, is that you help as many people as you possibly can get what they want. And that of course translates into like whatever happens, kind of business that you're in, is you provide that service or provide the product that people are looking for, or whatever it is. And then the more successful you are at giving to people, the more successful you'll be at receiving. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Karen didn't get back on. She was in the middle of saying something. What? Okay, who else wants to share their thoughts?
I just was reminded of, I don't know if somebody might have brought it up before, but that idea of, what is it? When you, like the vacuum theory, like when you create space, you create this vacuum to receive things. Because I keep looking at this part that Wayne Dyer wrote about, getting rid of excess in your life, like clothing and furniture, because I know I need to go through my clothing and get rid of stuff, because it's just the drawers are stuffed and everything's stuffed, and you wear the same thing over and over again because you're too lazy to look through all the junk. So I have to do that again. I didn't think I'd get to this point again, because when I moved from New York, I got rid of everything, and it was so refreshing. But it's true, when we create that empty space, we can receive more in our life too. So I like that Wayne brought that up, and it's a good reminder for me to really get rid of this clothes that I'm not wearing, and find the clothes deep down within that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, my favorite dress. So just reminded of that vacuum principle. I think that's really true and important to remember.
Yeah, that's terrific. Great thoughts. Thanks for reminding me.
That's so crazy.
Nature abhors a vacuum, right? Yeah.
Right. And that's why I was earlier with the with verse 77. I was thinking about that because that is sort of the balancing of nature and nature finding that equilibrium. So that was great. And I really like what you're talking about too, Samantha, with the giving first. We were, the universe put within us the spark, so to speak, the ability to create, the spark or energy from within us. We can also channel that energy, good or bad, from outside of us and receive it, amplify it, and expel it or transfer it to others. And we can sometimes do that accidentally, and if we're not following or aware of our mindset, we talked about my limits earlier, but when I reach my limits and I'm not now mindful of my thoughts, then I can actually accidentally take on the wrong energies and then transfer those wrong energies. But what I like what you were saying is it points out that we are not just a receiver and transmitter, but we can be the source ourselves to a certain extent. And it's much easier to do that if we are connected with the source and the understandings of the Tao, as mentioned in this book. My question is, how can we become a master of cultivating that source so that we don't feel that we are limited, so that we can tap into that source and rejuvenate ourselves whenever we need to, so that we're not fearful of reaching our limits. We're not fearful of giving when we don't feel like we have enough. And but it's a great reminder of what you said is a great reminder, Samantha, because it reminds us that we can cultivate that energy and that power from within us, because that was given to us. That ability was given to us by the Creator.
That was awesome. Thank you. That was really powerful. Yeah, you mentioned the mindfulness, and I'm reading a book which I wanted to suggest as our next book, but I won't go into what that book is. I'll be mysterious here. But it did talk about mindfulness and being conscious, and it hit a real note with me, because by being mindful, you don't repeat the same patterns in your life. And I was thinking about patterns in my life, and I was thinking, yeah, if I was mindful back then, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. And so that whole idea of being mindful and really living in the moment, and being conscious of each moment and being mindful of what you're choosing, as you said, into your life, energies or experiences or people, etc. It's all very important, and you said it so beautifully. But I just wanted to support what you just said, because I just read about it, and it really got me starting to think. And going back to the verse, I was just thinking about the idea of, like, what wealth do you have, and what surplus do you have, and what are you able to give to others? And I was thinking, this is also part of the book I was just reading the other night. It's just like, even simply giving positive thoughts and positive energy and positive encouragement, etc., that is free. I mean, that doesn't cost you any physical things like money, or not a possession that you have. It's not a tangible thing. It's just coming from your heart and coming from your soul and coming from who you are. It's just your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, and that all those positive things that you can give to people, you can give that so freely. And I think in many ways, I was just thinking a few minutes ago that is something you can always give, and it is more powerful than you can imagine, as far as what you have, that you have inside you, that's part of you, that in some way you own, and that you can give out, because we all live by thought. that's the most powerful uh, energy and dynamic that we have going for us, is we create our world by our thoughts. We create our life by our thoughts, because everything starts with an idea, a thought, and that is how we create, because thoughts are things, and that's how powerful we are. And if we can give away our powerful thoughts, our powerful words, our powerful energies and emotion, what more wealth can you give someone? You know, if I can encourage you with my words and get you thinking on your own about yourself in a very positive, loving way, I've given you a great gift. I've given you such wealth. I've given you food. I've given you everything you need. And you go from there. And we all go from there. We all go from our thoughts and from being positive and loving. So anyway, it's just something that, and I think that if we mindfully, consciously live that way, in a very positive, loving way for ourselves and in terms of helping others, I think that we will create such a wonderful life, that we will create that abundance and wealth that we're all talking about, that is really there for us. That's a way to start, you know, is moment by moment with those powerful, positive, loving thoughts for ourselves and for others, and freely giving that to other people, not being, you know, hidden away to a point where you're not interacting. So anyway, this is just something that's really getting me all excited, because and I think that everyone needs to really work on that. I mean, for me, it's natural because I know astrology and I know my own astrology. It's just something in my chart that, but I wasn't that way, of course, when I was young, was a kid. So in that sense, I had to work at it, and I had to find it, and I had to free myself and be that. I had to live that part of what was really inside me. And that's something we should encourage everyone to do. And it goes back to the whole thing you were talking about before, about not living in fear, you know. And so when you take away that fear and be who you really are, and which is really kind of like being the beings that we really are, which is divine and loving, then we yes, can easily express that love, and then give out that love, and give out that positive energy and positive love and positive thoughts, and in that way be there for everybody, be there to support everybody, and go back into the whole idea of we're all interconnected. It's a multidimensional field, and everything I feel and do affects everybody. And if we can all live that way, what a beautiful world we would have. You know, everybody understanding that and lifting everybody up. And, you know, the world will be so wealthy then, in all the good things that we know are there for us, and that is truly what we all deserve. And anyway, that's it. I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
Wow, yeah, I think you just encapsulated it all there, Marjorie. Thank you.
I like how you brought up the aspect of fear being involved in our. You know, we can step away from the fear side of it and live more from the love and the faith that, you know, that there is abundance in the world, and that we are abundant beings, and that by giving out that abundance, we create more of it for other, you know, for ourselves and for everyone. And, you know, I was reading something a while back. I can't remember where it was that I read this, but it was talking about when you are mindful, like you were talking about, Marjorie, of your decision-making process. It may actually have been from Neil Donald Walsh. And when you are, you know, when you're aware of your decision-making and where those decisions are coming from, you know, so if you're contemplating, okay, shall I give something away or whatever, or shall I not give it away, or I don't even know. I'll give you a different example, one that I can actually use from my own life versus the giving side of it is the decision-making side of it. Is when we are more, when we're trying to make a decision and we have, two possibilities of outcome. One for me was when I was trying to make a decision on whether to move into this apartment or another apartment. And when I was mindful of what was going on in my head about that, I discovered that to go with this apartment was a faith and abundance kind of positive attitude, abundance, that sort of thing, decision, happiness, if you will. And then the other apartment, I was sitting there, and all the things that I was thinking it was like the practical thing. This is what I ought to do because it's more, financially sound, or it's this or that. And that was like a fear-based decision. And so when this thing that I was reading about was like, when you can make your decisions from a place of love, then you're going to have more abundance in your life because you're encouraging love, the all-encompassing love, not just I love you kind of love, but that the love energy versus that fear energy. I don't know if I'm being clear. Sometimes I kind of talk in circles, but I guess the point that I'm trying to make with this is that if we're trying to embrace that part of us that is abundance, and then we can kind of be mindful of our decisions. And if we're making a decision from a feeling of abundance, then we're going to create more abundance in our life. If we're making the decision from a point of, or from an energy of fear, then we're going to create more fear in our life. Are you following me? Hey, Karen, glad you got back on. I wasn't sure if you're going to make it.
No, that totally makes sense, and that was very clear. Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. I was noticing in myself this week some, like my mind was having these thoughts, and I'm like, stop, because they were like fear-based thoughts, and it's sometimes like hard to shut them off, like, because they creep in and they're like, please, you're like, shut up. So, because it led me to see where I was sometimes making in those moments where the fear thought would come, like making a decision and based on that fear. And yeah, it's so true. And when you become aware of it, it's like, wow, I think so many people live their life from that way, just making decisions based off of fear instead of love. And so it's nice to be aware of it, even though it's sometimes hard to be aware of it, because it's like, how do I get this thought out of my head? Sometimes, like, it just creeps. It's like a little critter, like a mosquito.
I was going to say that love is our nature. It's what our true beings are, and fear is the opposite. So everything that is good is really love, and everything that is not love can only be fear. And fear can be like levels of like doubt or conflict, but so you keep it simple. Either it's love or it's fear. So love is power. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. And a long time ago, I've been on decades now, passionate about metaphysics, which is how life works, and spirituality, the astrology, going for psychic readings, and just being an explorer and a seeker of truth and wisdom and everything. And it came down to a real simple thing, like, and this took me a while, right, to get to. It was like, because I would really get into the astrology and the numerology and the tarot cards and everything, and then it got down to, what, let's keep it simple. All you have to do is check your gut, because your gut is really your angels. That's how I see it. You check your gut, and you go toward what feels good and what feels like love, and what is positive and what makes you happy. Everything else is really not true and is there to confuse you. So you don't want to go toward that. You could just go toward your heart, your gut, what makes you happy, what brings you love, what feels good to you, what you're drawn to, because you're really then being really authentic to yourself and honest about what you really want. And then everything else that's really not for you may be tempting, but a lot of that's because you're thinking too much with your mind and being too rational, and you're like overcoming everything that's really what is really good for you, because you're like going through formulas maybe, and like maybe talking yourself into something that really isn't what you want, but you think that's what you should want, because you're just following what you think is dictates from like parents or society or whatever. So I kept it really simple. I'm not sure if I'm even saying it the way I got it way before, which is I just go for what makes you happy. Go for what your heart tells you. Don't ever discount that, what your gut is telling you. And so, thank you for saying all that, Samantha and Sandy, because it really is. And that whole idea of like your thoughts and your moments and what you're thinking every moment is so accurate, because your life is made of moments, and the quality of your moments, the quality of your life is all cumulative. And it is a discipline. It is like work to focus on those moments. It's being vigilant. It's doing the work, and it's, in some sense it's hard work if you haven't been doing it. And truly, I don't live moment to moment. I'm not a present moment person by any means. I'm not a master of that, but I realize that's what we're all been being taught. All the things that have been coming up to us through self-development and things like that, that we're all trying to teach us truly the wise way to live, which is why we're reading this book, was why we're meeting every Saturday and talking, because the Tao has something to teach us. And so a lot of it does come down to mindfulness and moment to moment, present moment, controlling your thoughts, having only good thoughts. And I have been tapping into recently through a spiritual source how to train yourself to think moment to moment, thought by thought. And I actually now do invocation, which is like I call it a cosmic eraser, to erase all those thoughts that weren't for your highest good and were not for the highest good of all. And instead, it's kind of like erasing everything, and then you just start again. The next moment, the next thought. You want it to be positive. You want it to be for your highest good, to bring into your life what is for your highest good and for the highest good of all. For your neighbor, for your friend, for your coworker, for your partner, your children, etc. So that's what I've been working on. And I actually say my invocation in such a way, taught by my spiritual source here, that I'm actually doing it for all of mankind, for all 7.4 billion people here on the planet, to erase all their thoughts or feelings, words and actions, visions and images and beliefs and attitudes that are not for their highest good and not for the highest good of all. So this is so important, to really find, I guess, the essence of successful living, which is why we're here. We're having a lifetime here. We want to have the most successful lifetime we can have. And what that's going to take is finding the secret of how to live well, how to live properly, how to live successfully and the right way, and which is what the Tao is all about, why we're reading this book. So anyway, thank you for letting me share.
Thank you, Marjorie. That what you were just talking about reminds me of another book that I read a number of years ago. It's called Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. And he talks about that a lot, where you take responsibility of, well, of course, we've talked about being one. We're all one. And when we realize we're all one, then we can take 100% responsibility for everything in our existence, everything that we see and experience in our own existence. And when we're able to do that and then work on ourselves for all of those things, is we actually work on all that for everyone. And And so that's super powerful, because it in my experience, by doing that, is I've changed my entire world. Changed, because I mean, realistically, they all like to say that you're not the center of the universe, but you are. You're your own center of the universe, because all we can see is our perspective. We try and see other people's perspectives, but for the most part, we can't. And although we are all here together, we are still the center of our own universe. And when we work from that point, all we can do is influence our universe, but that influences everything in it, and that's everyone, right? So we've been on here for a while. I think we've been on for about an hour or so, even though we had to split this into 2 videos. But anyway, if anybody has some final thoughts, jump out there and share your final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up for today.
I did speak before. Can you hear me? When you welcome me back, thanks. I was trying to finish up the story with Greg Braden and the man that prayed for rain and utilized the senses and the positive approach that the rain, we're focusing on rain. We're not focusing on that there is no rain and can we please have rain? And the rain came. And it's kind of funny. I really like Greg Braden because I think he's just such a personable man. And, when the rain came and 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 came, he phoned his friend and he said, what's going on here? And he says, well, the elders always wondered about this because they never did figure out how you can encapsulate, you can say, I want rain from 8 a.m. This is not at all what he said. I'm saying, from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. and we're done. Thank you very much. It's just like you asked for rain. So here's the rain. I'm just excited about what we are, who we are, and where we're going. And thank you. And we'd love to have everybody else join us. All right.
Yeah, all very good thoughts. I appreciate that, Karen. When you focus on having more than enough, you put yourself, your mind into that position. And when you're open to it, like what Sandy was saying, when you create that space for it, the universe wants to fill that up for you. I love what Margie was saying too about looking for what is. I can't really encapsulate all of what she said, but kind of going from your gut. But I do want. I mean, I think it's even a little bit more. I don't know. I think it's a little bit more deeper than that, and that we have to be mindful of what our gut is feeling too. If it's the way of man, then the way of man is different than the way of the Tao. Then we need to be aware of that too. But hey, yeah, it's not a simple thing. So it is the journey though, like what you're mentioning, and I love that that you're mentioned being a seeker of or at least what I consider being a seeker of these things. And I'm just really blessed with being able to be here with you all. Thank you so much for coming out, and I look forward to meeting other seekers out there that are interested in joining the group. So yeah, look us up and connect with one of us, or connect with the Saturday Morning Mastermind, Saturday morning, the Mindset Mastery Collective. I always get those reversed. Mindset Mastery Collective, and this Saturday Morning Mastermind. It's great to be here. Thank you so much, Samantha. Great to see you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Yes, thank you all. Be back here next Saturday.
Is there time for me to say more? What was I going to say? Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking, Samantha, about, like that, our external world is a reflection of our internal. Like whatever we are inside is what we're going to see out in the world. And it goes back to all the fear versus love. Like if we're in fear, we're going to, like you all were saying, is create more fear in our life, and we'll see things from a fear-based mode. But it reminds me of a good friend of mine. Like she's such an inspiration because she lives from that place of love, and she has chronic pain daily, like horrible pain in her body from an accident, and she's going through like immigration problems, and I mean she's got stuff going on in her life that I would be like, wow, if I was in her situation, I'd probably be like a mess and depressed. But everywhere she goes, she's spreading love, and I just look at her like, like, wow. She could be in immense pain, and she's just sharing her love with people, and I see what she receives back from that. Like, people care for her, they take care of her, they always want to be around her. She'll have a dinner party and everybody wants to come, and it just changes everything when you're coming from that place, no matter what's going on in your life. If you're, anybody, she'll go talk to them, like, and ask them a billion questions about their life, like, from a genuine place of caring about them. And so, I think that's an important thing, like really to share ourselves with others in that way, and we'll receive gifts from all of them. I think in our society, we're so shut off from people a lot. Like I have neighbors where I'm like, I'll say hi, and it's like they're in their world, and they don't know that you're even saying hi to them. And it's like, I live a couple doors down from you. You can say hi to me. It's like, I had another point, but it went away. Anyway, yeah. So spread the love and be that inspiration. And I love you, Tal, out there. She's amazing. Inspiration.
Awesome, guys. We only have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to wrap up the recording so we have a couple minutes to talk about other stuff. But okay, so everybody who's watching as a recording, there's some links below this video where you can get in our Facebook group and connect with us and participate in this mastermind if you'd like to, or just watch our recordings or whatever. If you go to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com, that'll give you instructions for joining. It will also, go to the Facebook group. Just click the link below. Subscribe to our channel, like this video, share it with anybody you think that would be helpful. And then we'll see you guys next week. We'll be discussing the Tao Te Ching Verse 78. And that's it for today. Have a great afternoon. Awesome, amazing weekend. Bye for now.
Okay.